Hi, and welcome to Matt Holman Talks Mental Health, the podcast where I have the opportunity to sit down and chat with amazing humans about their journey with mental health. For this episode, I'm so happy to welcome Ridhima to this conversation. Welcome.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for inviting me here. And, it's just incredible that I haven't ever met you in person, but I'm just sitting here buzzing with energy and just, looking forward to having this
Oh,
conversation with you.
that is so kind, and as I will do very briefly, I'll just do a quick introduction to how we know each other. I'll let you do your proper introduction, let people know who you are and what you do. But we met through social media, which I tend to sort of meet quite a lot of people at the moment. Of course, with some of the social restrictions, it's a lot easier to meet through that medium at the moment. But we connected. It's just incredible the things that you're doing, and you've got an amazing story. We connected on LinkedIn. We've stayed close. You follow a lot of the posts that I put out and so on. So you were the perfect guest for this conversation. So I'll let you do your introduction. So tell people who you are, what you're doing.
Sure. Thank you, Matt. Yeah. So, yeah, my name is Ridhima Bhasin. Ridhima has a meaning in Hindi. It means goddess of peace and prosperity. I think my parents were taking their chance of naming me Ridhima, hoping to have a quiet, peaceful child, but that definitely didn't work in their favor. So yeah, and it's incredible, like you said, the power of social media that you get to connect to so many different people. So yeah, mental health is something that is really very important to me. And, the reason it has become so important lately, and, become aware of this whole, gamut of mental illnesses, or, how much stigma is around all of this. So it all started in 2019. I had a life event towards the end of 2018, which had a huge impact on me. And I spiraled into severe depression, and I went to see a psychiatrist and had a conversation with him. And he mentioned that, what I'm going through was basically trauma. So it was post traumatic stress disorder and severe depression that he diagnosed me with. And I remember very clearly that, that one day, 8th of January 2019, I still remember, I went to see him, and I went from work. And at work, I was just, constantly breaking down, and I had really bad suicidal thoughts at that time. And, I was, not to trigger anyone, but when I was coming to work, I was standing on the DLR platform and just, hoping that if I just jump in front of this train and, end everything, it would be so much better for me. And I can just get rid of all of this emotional pain that I'm going through, which I couldn't explain what was happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, after that, there was a long and wonderful and beautiful journey of recovery, I would say. We it was going into a hospital and taking care of myself, doing therapy. And that was the first time I did therapy. I had never even like so I am from India, and I had never known what therapy is, or what is, what IPT is. And it was okay to sit in a group of people and talk about your emotions, talk about, your really deep and dark thoughts that you have of what you think about your own self. And to be honest, I feel like therapy is like one of the best things that ever happened to me. And when you sit down and you challenge your emotions, you challenge your thoughts, and you kind of try to understand where my beliefs are coming from, what my values are. I just kind of feel that, my depression is a blessing in disguise, because otherwise I would have never had the chance to take time off work and, just focus on myself, just focus on how I'm feeling, practice mindfulness, and, just look after myself and my emotions, and, connect to my spiritual side, connect to, my creative side as well.
Yeah.
And, it turned out at the end of the day, it was a huge blessing that I had. And yeah, that went on for a couple of months. And in October 2019 was when I went back to work. It was a gradual return to work. And when I came out of the hospital in May 2019, I was like, okay, I listened to all of these stories of people in the hospital, and what they're going through. And when I was going back to work as well, I was constantly thinking about, what are people going to think about me, what are they going to ask me, how is everyone feeling when I come back from work. family, how they're feeling about me being diagnosed with, mental health conditions. And that's when I thought that, okay, I need to, like, look into a charity. I need to start talking about mental health. And that's when I found Time to Change. And so I registered as a Time to Change champion. And, we did a lot of work together. The one event that I very clearly remember was in IKEA Greenwich. We went, and I used to do theater when I was at uni. So I proposed that, we do a 30-second act in their restaurant, and, just to get everyone's attention and then talk about our mental health. And we did a 30-second act, and everyone was like, oh, what's happening, like what's going on?
Right.
And we were wearing our Time to Change t-shirts. And at the end, we had placards, all of the champions, and my placard said, I have been to a psychiatric hospital, ask me about my experience. And I just saw, like, people just running away. They
Oh
literally just
no.
saw that this woman has just come out of a hospital and she's coming towards us. So,
Oh my God.
you could see the stigma quite literally,
Yeah.
like, them being scared, which was funny. But I also had a lot of, amazing conversations with people. And you could see that, when some people were reading it, there was something that had an impact on them,
Mm.
because you could see their facial expressions change, that, maybe it reminded them of their loved one, or something that,
Mm.
you could see that it's impacting them, but they were hesitant to talk. I did have a couple of conversations with, you know just talking to strangers, and, the world pre-corona times, where we could hug each other, and, just, give each other a comforting hug. Strangers gave me comforting hugs, I gave them comforting hugs. And there were so
Right.
many
Wow.
people who were asking, how can we sign up as champions as well, because we have mental health conditions as well, and we, go through this stigma every single day. So yeah, that was an incredible experience. And I have a picture where I have, the best record of talking to 51 people that day. So,
Wow.
yeah, I don't know what energy I was on that day. I was literally like moonwalking in the middle of the aisles and just talking to people. When I saw Asian people, I just tried to, like, talk to them in Hindi, so that they were like, I know your language, like, talk to me, and,
Yeah.
namaste and all of that, just to show that let's just get talking now, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was wonderful and incredible experience. And since then, I have done so many amazing events with Time to Change, and the latest being Bollywood dancing for them for Time to Talk Day. And that was pretty crazy as well. And yeah, and then last year in the pandemic, my baby was born. My baby being Just Another Illness. That's my mental health initiative. It's my personal project that I work on. And, I just try and add my 2 cents to raising awareness around mental health to Just Another Illness.
Wow, what an incredible introduction. Where do we go? Let's pick this apart. We need to talk about the illness parts, because I think that's really important for everybody to understand. But what I
Definitely.
absolutely love about you is your energy. You have a high energy yourself. You ooze this sort of positivity around. And you're talking about difficult subjects. And for anybody listening, of course, there was suicide thoughts in there. There was,
Yeah.
depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, which are all serious challenges. But look at you, look at you. And that's what I always think is, look at you now, and where you are, and the smile on your face, I hope, is a genuine smile, because
Yeah.
there's lots of things to be blessed by, and actually you made a comment there saying your depression is a blessing, because
Yeah.
it helped you to understand more about yourself. And that's not saying for everybody going through the experience of depression it feels that way.
Yeah.
When you can reflect back, I
Yeah.
think,
Exactly.
and this is how I interpret it, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but when you can reflect back, you can see how actually I needed that to happen. And there has been some writings recently around the blessing of depression, and how it actually is a way that your body's telling you to change tact slightly, or to think about the
Yeah.
things you're doing.
Yeah.
I find it absolutely fascinating. So I do want to go to that point, and then we will touch, we're going to talk about
Yeah.
Just Another Illness as a big part of this, because it's a huge vehicle, and I absolutely love it. And for anybody listening, if you want to check it out, it's www.justanotherilness.com. Nice and easy. There's no hyphens, no separations. It's all one big long word. So go and check it out, because it's just incredible what you've done with your experiences. So let's go back to that point where you were struggling. I really want
Yeah.
to get into some of these thoughts, if that's okay, and
Yeah.
whatever you feel comfortable to talk about. So what was going on in your head at those moments? What did you feel? Can you define any of those feelings for people?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things that I could tell you. I think the first time when I went to therapy, and I've always been a very confident person, someone who always felt that, oh, I believe in God a lot. I'm a very spiritual person, and
Yeah.
I always felt that I'm God's favorite child, and I get everything that I want. And when life actually tested me, and I there were things that spiraled out of my control, and I couldn't do anything to make it all okay. That was and the things that I experienced at that time, that just made me believe that there is no hope, there is nothing to look forward to. And all I was feeling at that time was, if no one talks to me and everyone just forgets me, especially my family and friends, they will be so much better off without me. Like,
Right.
and I am tagged as, like, the life of the party, and someone who will just go around and cheer everyone up. And when you're not able to do that, I think you get a lot of negativity and guilt of not being able to do it. I remember very clearly, Matt, I was in India, and my nephew was just 6 months old that time, and I couldn't hold him or play with him or be around him, because I constantly had this voice in my head telling me that you are a very negative person, you should not be around him, because you're going to pass all of that negativity to him.
Right.
And I was reading Shantaram at that time, and I would just sit in a corner and just read my novel, and like just hope that no one talks to me. And every day was, I was going to all of these therapy sessions in the hospital, and we had a fixed schedule. But at the end of the day, no matter how you talk about it, at that time it didn't feel like a blessing at all. Like you said, it's on retrospection you can say it's a blessing.
Yeah.
But at that time, all you think about is so hard to challenge your thought and to believe that you need to think about the future. You need to be, things were getting better. So my life experience that I had was, one of the closest person in my family was unwell, and they were getting better, and everything, things were working out for them. But I was just like, what if it happens again? I was the one who inflicted this on them. It was my responsibility to make sure they were okay, and I didn't fulfill my responsibility. And not just that, like, every single thing that had possibly gone wrong in my life, from my childhood to my teenage years to university, everything came on the surface, and I was just finding reasons to blame myself. I was finding reasons to tell myself how bad of person I am, and why I don't deserve to be alive. And when I would think about killing myself, I would always have face of my mother come in front of my eyes, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the courage to, like, physically do anything. But I don't know if other people experience it the same way, but for me, it was a lot of physical pain that I was holding on to. Like, my shoulders were rock solid, and
Right.
they were really like, I had incredible amount of pain in my abdomen that I couldn't explain. And we did MRI and ultrasound and everything, but nothing came out. So that was all the stress that I was holding on to in my body. And it was just very hard to, like, let go. And the only way to let go and feel easy was to either, like, just kill myself or self harm. Like, I
Right.
remember I did have urges a couple of times, and I did, like, slap myself really hard, or just bang my head really hard against the wall. And then I also realized that this is not a healthy way to let go of the pain that I'm feeling through.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's just, depression tells you a lot of things that aren't true. And at that point of time, you don't know what is right and what is wrong. You kind of just you know want to just accept that, yes, this is what it is. There shouldn't, even if when you're happy and you're feeling okay, the next thought is of guilt. Why are you happy?
Right.
you don't deserve to be happy, you don't deserve to be enjoying something. And it's you find ways to punish yourself. My way of punishing myself was through eating. I was just constantly like stuffing myself. So I would, I mean, the amount of food that one person could eat, I would just order or take a boxes, just stuff myself, because you always feel that hollowness in your body and you're trying to fill that. And I also knew that
Yeah.
eating so much food would actually have an impact on my health as well. So it's just incredible the amount of power that your mind can get. And with PTSD, I would constantly get flashes of the things that I had seen. And and they would constantly remind me as well that I didn't, I wasn't successful to help that person, or I didn't do my best to help that person, even though I did whatever the best I could. And the doctors and everyone comforted me, but those words are just words at that point of time. No matter how
Yeah.
much people tell you, you just want to push everyone away, and you just want to believe what your mind is telling you. And medication, therapy, working out, working through those emotions, talking through those thoughts, challenging them, and trying very hard to separate my illness to who I am as a person. It took me almost, I would say, a year and a half. And when there was like after some, I think in February or March of 2020 was when I said to myself for the first time, "This is who Ridhima is. I know this Ridhima." It's like living with someone you don't like, who is constantly judging you, telling you bad things about you. And then suddenly, when I actually describe my depression as a black veil on me,
Mhm.
and it was the the weight of that veil that I had, and the darkness that that veil used to put on me. And I felt like my veil has lifted now, and I can see things clearly. I don't have that pain in the shoulders or in my back that I used to
Yeah.
experience. But it is a very hard and dark place. And particularly for people who are going through depression, it's very hard. I can just tell you that, oh, try not to listen to your mind, but that is not possible. You cannot, it's not a button. You can't switch it off and be like, okay, I'm not going to listen to my mind.
Yeah.
What I would say is, the thing that helped me, two things. Firstly, being honest with my doctors. Like, if you're not, depression is not a race, or it is not a fight. It is nothing to be fixed. No one is broken.
Yeah.
You can't be like, oh, I was, I was coming off my medication. Now I have to come back on it. So I'm losing. There's no losing or winning in this. Nobody, you are always winning no matter what. So never see your journey as something that you want to fix and get done with and just go out.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself as much as you can. Let your mind say whatever it wants to say, but continue to believe in the fact that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Even if you don't see it right now,
Yeah.
even if you don't believe there is a light, just maybe just say it to yourself, or just write it down somewhere that there will be a light one day. And just try and hold on to that thought. And be honest with your doctors, because there isn't any blood test or an x-ray that they can do to figure out what's going on. If you are not honest to the people who are treating you, it will be very hard for you to get the right support. And secondly, what I would highly recommend is, if you have suicidal thoughts, if you have thoughts of self harm, have a plan to address those. For me, it was calling my fiance or calling my sister and telling them explicitly, I have this urge of beating myself really badly right now. Can you just talk to me? Or if I was at home alone, I would go and stand in the balcony with, like, oh, like, get some fresh air and talk to them. And not just about what I'm going through, but like just any random thing, so
Yeah.
that I could get over that urge. And this may not work for everyone, right? But have your own way of how I'm going to deal with this. I think one thing that I'm very grateful to me, Matt, is that I made this promise to myself that I'm not going to kill myself no matter what. Although, silently every day I was praying that I hope, death comes soon and I get
Yeah.
over all of this pain.
Yep.
But for some reason, because I saw my mother's face, I was like, I am not going to do anything to,
Yep.
upset her.
Yep.
And I just wish and I hope that, anything that works for people, they just hold on to that thought. And, I know it's hard. I've been there. I know it's super, you're living with this constant judging person in your head. It's so damn hard when 24/7 you are being told you're not worth it, you deserve to die. It's damn hard. But for 1 second, just listen to me and just be like, just hold on to that, that thought,
Yeah.
and it you will silence that person in your head.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, no, I love everything you've said there. I think it's just such a fascinating journey and an experience, and really getting that insight from your mind as to what was going on. It's important. Not everybody will connect to that, but some people will
Yeah.
definitely. There's so many crossovers of, points that people will recognize in there. I want to just touch on one other point in there if I can.
Yeah.
When and who was the first person you spoke to about what was going on?
um I think I did start talking to my fiance about
Okay.
it,
Yep.
especially when, the person close to me was unwell. We had our first, anniversary. It was his birthday during that period as well.
Okay.
But I was pretending to be happy. I was
Mm.
pretending to be okay. And I constantly kept saying to him, I don't feel okay. I don't feel like myself. Something is really off. Something doesn't feel okay. And he was constantly just feeling like, maybe, you are working too hard, you are overburdened, you are stressed out, and you just need to calm yourself. Things will be better, let's go out, usual reactions to people who don't understand mental health.
Yep.
But I remember for a very long time, since I think November, beginning of November to like beginning of January next year, I just constantly had this thought that this is not me. The way I'm reacting to things, the way I'm, feeling about my own self. This is not the person I know. I live with this person every single day, and I know who Ridhima is and who Ridhima isn't.
Yeah.
And it was this constant annoying that, why don't you understand what I'm trying to say? It's not a sadness. It is not that I'm stressed. Things are getting better. We have come out to celebrate. It's your birthday, it's my first anniversary with you. I still don't feel happy.
Yeah.
Why that is the case? Why, you and when you don't know yourself that you're going to, you want to get rid of that feeling and get over it, but you just can't. You just, and I, sometimes I listen to people when I tell my story, and they come back and they say that they have been feeling like this for years, and they never went to a psychiatrist to check what is happening. This just breaks my heart, Matt,
Yep.
because when I was there for 3 months, it was a torture. It was like living in a prison with your thoughts. And it just breaks my heart that how can you be okay for like living like that for 3 years. And I know for a fact that taking that first step of accepting to a medical professional, yes, I have suicidal thoughts. That's the first thing. I accepted in front of a GP,
Yep.
and just accepting that. And the first time when your psychiatrist says, oh, probably we'll have to start medication, and being like, yes, I'm okay to take medication, all of these things are damn hard, are really
Yeah,
hard.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first thought I had when I was sitting in group therapy. I remember in the hospital, they were like, oh, it's your first day, you can open up when you want to. I was listening to everyone, and I started crying, like, really badly. And my mind was telling me, you couldn't get over this. It has come to this that you have to come to a hospital now to get, like, I was ashamed of myself. My
Yeah.
mind was telling me off for, you can't handle stress in your life, you can't handle a life event in your life, that you have had to turn up into a hospital and go through therapy and take medication. So I think society has programmed us in a way where we are always told, get up and fight.
Yep.
But I would rather tell everyone no. Like, that's the most foolish thing to do. If you're not feeling okay, take time to check out and be like, okay, what is really going
Yeah.
on? If I have a broken leg, I myself will never ask me, oh, you should be running. I'll be like, oh no, I have a broken leg. I need to
You need to
take care
rest.
of it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. But when it comes here, medication becomes a problem. Still is a problem after 1.5 years. Still, I'm like, when am I going to come off this medication? And
Right. Yeah.
I do all of this awareness, and you can say all pleasant things. But when it comes to you, you're just like, I don't think I need therapy. Maybe I should stop seeing my therapist. No, like, you need that support. You need sometimes, and it's okay to
Yeah.
accept it. And yeah, I mean, I can go on and on about like talking about everything. Sorry, maybe we should come back.
No, not at all. You know, this is your story. This is you. This is the real you. What I love about this is it's enabling people to see who the real people are behind, the social profiles, what you see online and everything. And you're a real, genuinely amazing, authentic person. So don't go changing that. Please don't. I
Thank you.
don't ever apologize for being you. It's incredible. So we've got probably about 5 more minutes to go,
Okay.
but I do want to make sure we really touch on this just another illness piece with you, because
Yeah.
it's your baby, as you said. You created this last year. So what's your drive, ambition? I know obviously your passion behind it is because
Yeah.
of your own personal experiences, but what do you want to do with it? Where do you want it to go, and how do you want people to connect to it?
Yeah, so first thing that I really want Just Another Illness is to the name that it says. It's just another illness. Like,
Yep.
just don't, if you have a diagnosis, it doesn't mean that that's what you are. If people, have cancer, we don't call them cancerous.
Yep.
If people have diabetes, we don't call them diabetes. We This is a person who has a condition or has an illness which is cancer, but they're not like cancer doesn't define them. My depression, my PTSD doesn't define who I am as a person. If you ask me, Ridhima, who you are, I will define myself as someone who is bubbly, talkative, likes to meet new people, have conversations. But when you look at my diagnosis, which is depression, is completely different, because it makes me want to isolate and makes me want to take away from what I am.
Yep.
But it doesn't define me. All of this conversation, building connections, is what defines me. So destigmatizing mental health, and mental health conditions is something that is my primary goal. And particularly in ethnic minority communities,
Yep.
I really want to focus on talking in local dialects. So I've done a couple of videos in Hindi or regional languages, so that we reach out to people in every part of the world who are not educated, who may not understand English, who may not understand what mental health is. But if I just talk in your local language, use colloquial terms, maybe you will be able to connect with me and try to probably just keep one part of your brain open just to listen to what I'm saying. And you may not understand what I'm going through, and that's completely fine. If I have a broken leg, only I can understand my pain. You
Yep.
wouldn't understand if you never broken your leg. But be empathetic, just be kinder to other people who are going through something. I think that's something that I really want to achieve through Just Another Illness. you know People sharing stories, people talking about different mental health conditions. We had an event on bipolar disorder recently. Now our upcoming event is on 6th of March on borderline personality disorder. And there's so much more. Like, I did a session on postnatal depression as well, and
Okay.
I'm nowhere close to being a mother, but I just wanted to see, like, how it go, like what happens and what goes through.
Mm.
And when you listen to people sharing their experiences, I think there is so much more to learn in life. And human brain is the most complex organ, and there's so much that science still hasn't figured out. And when you listen to people with depression, every person has their own journey. And I
Yeah.
think through Just Another Illness, that's what I'm trying to do. Just get people talking. Friends sit down, have a conversation about mental health conditions, about mental well-being, what works for other people, what doesn't work for other people, and try and do it through reaching out to people in their regional languages as much as you can, sharing stories, getting, psychologists on board. I share what I learned in therapy as well. With a disclaimer that I'm not a therapist,
No.
but I learned this, and
Yeah.
it was fascinating to learn about hypothetical worries and genuine worries. And I'm like,
Sure.
these may sound easy words, but when you kind of see it through a CBT model, you're like, whoa, this is a whole new word that has opened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, it's incredible. And, for anybody listening again, I'm going to repeat, I will drop it into the link to this as well. But, www.justanotherilness.com
Papa.
where and we just
Father was just here.
oh, bless, he wants to come in and be part of the conversation. I love it. And it's pure. The reality is it's about raising awareness, educating people, giving people the right tools to understand, I think, is what we're trying to achieve, isn't it? It's sort of, why do we keep saying we need to talk about mental health? Well, because lots of people still don't understand what that means and the words themselves. So I think it's great that you define it as just another illness. And you've stolen part of my script, I think, from when I train, because I always try to make it very clear that the person is still the wonderful, amazing human, but there's this horrible illness that's attached itself to the brain or to, and we have to remind ourselves that the person is still there and they're not defined by that illness, and I think that's just an amazing thing. So it is just another illness, and it really is the case. It really, let's get away from this thought that says people are broken who have depression and they're just worthless and they're not good enough, lazy people. That's not true at all. Oh my gosh, we're right at the end now. I just have to say from me to you, and then I'll ask you if you've got any final closing words of wisdom, because I know you're an amazing person. You've probably got some great insight. Thank you. Thank you so much for being you, most importantly, being you first, being an amazing human, and for the work you're doing to help support others. It's so important. Your story is just incredible. Any final words from yourself?
A request to everyone who is not feeling okay or hasn't felt okay. I just want to request that, go and have a chat with a doctor. You don't have to take medication. You don't have to go to therapy. You don't have to, start with your healing process. But if you haven't been feeling yourself for a long time now, there is a lot of help available. You just need to take that first step. And I know that first step is incredibly hard, but then when you come out of all of this, you'll be so proud of yourself. And, Matt, myself, we all are here to support you. And, you would listen to all of these podcasts that Matt does. There's so many people who are sailing in the same boat. Never ever believe your mind when it says you. It's only you. It's never you.
And a wonderful way to finish. Thank you so much. As I always say at the end of these sessions, if you are struggling or you do need somebody to reach out and talk to, we're always out there. There's lots of people that really do care, who really do want to listen and know that you're not alone. Sometimes those intrusive thoughts can become so overwhelming that you feel like nobody wants to listen to them, but we do. In the UK, we have Samaritans, of course, free to call 116123. You can also text to shout 85258, which is another organisation. But there are organisations all over the world as well, for anybody that's listening in the UK, of course. So there we go. So that's it. Thank you so much, Ridhima, for your time today. I appreciate it. You're an amazing human. Keep being great.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much.